Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great day. I want to talk about how to make money. We like making money. It's fun. It's fun. Not only are we, preparing for an epic, collapse of the economy, but we're also wanting to make money from that, okay? And it sounds funny, but there's nothing wrong with that. Some people actually like to go, "Oh, I can't believe you'd profit off of, people losing money." And I said, "Well, the facts are the facts. You can warn and try and teach people something new that they've never heard of, a concept, a theory, let's say, and they have the right to be able to take it and run with it or to dismiss it and crap on it. I mean, let's just call a spade, right? The facts are the wealthy people in this world are wealthy because they have something that most of the people do not. One thing is patience. They have the patience to sit back and allow a cycle to play itself out, and then they move. Secondly, they have funds. They have money to do something with. That's the other thing, because they took the time to save money and then they put it to work for them. Okay, so that the money, they're making money and their money's making money. All right, inflation's exploding right now. We get that. We've been harping on that forever. But it is a very important story, right? Because you can use inflation to make money. We've talked about gold and silver and what they do historically during times of serious inflation and then hyperinflation, and they blow off. But it's a blow off top, or it's a steady rise and then a panic move, right? Well, the thing with gold and silver is these are monetary metals. This is how most of the world still views gold and silver, even though gold and silver have gold has some industrial uses. Silver has a ton of industrial and medical uses, things like water filters, things like that. But the facts are people still, by and large, think of them as money or monetary metals, okay? Now, there's a whole nother segment of the world right now that is exploding in value, not only because of inflation, because of demand. And I've talked about this metal a little bit, and I'm going to talk about it a little more today because, quite frankly, it is absolutely exploding. And so even though I talk about there's times to be in the stock market and there's times not to, we need to understand one thing. We are going into a commodity bull run. It is a multi-year, absolutely massive bull run. And cyclically, these don't come around too often. But the facts are there are some materials in the earth right now that are exploding in value. Okay, so first off, we've talked about in the past the reasons why lumber exploded, all right? And if you guys have been following me for about a year, you will remember that I called the top of lumber in July. I said it was going to crash by July, and I was talking about other inflationary factors that were going to weigh heavily on people's minds, and they were going to start to stop bidding up lumber on the futures. And the futures started to collapse in lumber in July, going down to August. And then you saw an incremental decrease in the price of physical lumber. It takes time to get to the stores, the price drops, but it did happen. Then in December, I said, all right, get ready. I did 2 videos on lumber, and I said that it's going to explode in price again, and I believe you're going to see it go past the all-time high, the futures price, which will directly affect the price at the store for the physical lumber itself. And that is happening right now, all right? But that is because that was a supply and demand thing, right? Now, that was last year, supply and demand. This year's lumber is exploding now, not only because of supply and demand, but also the supply chain breaking down, all right? Now, we've also seen the same thing with steel. Steel prices have gone up 200, 300, 400. I don't know if they've hit 400%. I haven't checked a chart in a while, but they are exploding as well, right? Why? Because of supply and demand. So those kind of materials are exploding in value, right? Where if you were invested in those sectors before that happened, or even midway, you'd see some really good gains, right? You can invest through the options market, the futures market. You could, you could also invest in individual stocks, right? So I've talked about those before. Now, the one that I want to talk about today is the whole battery revolution, right? We've talked about cars, and we've talked about the fact that the cars are exploding. It's way more now than electric cars just being Tesla. Now you have every country or every company starting to build electric vehicles. They're all working on them, right? Whether it be like a hybrid electric gas vehicle or straight electric, the fact is battery power is insanely growing. Now, I thought of something. I said, it's not just cars, right? But really, if you think about it, I just used at work a chainsaw, fully electric chainsaw, and we're using it and cutting some wood with it, some trees. And then you're like, you got to sit back and look at this and go, I still love a nice still, right? an 026, you know, what at work they call it chainsaw therapy, or sorry, two-stroke therapy. And it's nice to be able to use a gas powered saw. But after a while, you know, to be able to go to certain projects and go, man, I just grab the electric, boom, 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 and it was great, right? Now, it still, in my opinion, doesn't replace the gas chainsaw. But I've talked to some firefighters the other day, and they started using, you know, the jaws of life, those big tools, the hydraulic tools that crush cars or cut cars open to save people's lives. And they have those big hydraulic rams that spread open things and allow access in for rescue. They are now using, they have battery powered jaws of life, cutters, spreaders, combi tools, all this stuff. And I was asking them, what do you think about this? And they said, these things are pretty darn slick. Now, I've actually gotten the opportunity to use them myself. And I have to admit, for the portability and the amount of power and the length of use, the time you get out of that, and if you think about it, you're just running a couple extra batteries on your fire engine, and you're having a charging station right there. They are pretty darn slick. It's pretty, it blows my mind. But then again, we all have tools. You know, I love my Milwaukee drills. I love the fact of how long the batteries last and all this stuff. So my point being is this: the technology is starting to blow my mind with how short of a charge you can get and how long of a power supply you can get out of a small battery, okay? So we know the car story. Now we're starting to see power tools that were always either hydraulic or fuel driven. Now they're switching to batteries power. And the facts are, even though like today you go, hey, I still prefer my Still, right? Or my Husqvarna. I want my Husky. But what's to say that battery gets so incredible that you're sitting there going, one charges as long as a tank of fuel. So why wouldn't I use it, all right? And not only that, the batteries on my chainsaw are now used on my table saw, or they're used on my lighting system. Or point being is that it's becoming so evident and apparent that the technology is getting so good that people are starting to change out the way they used to do things with the new electric thing, okay? So I want people to realize that. That is a big deal. Now, the actual metal that I'm talking about is lithium. I think lithium is very interesting because of what happened in the last couple of years. We've gotten some pretty interesting data. And so for that, I'm gonna have to grab some notes. So hold on a second, let's get some notes. All right, we got our notes. And yes, it's a pizza box. I don't know if you guys know me, but I like pizza, so we're just gonna have to stick with it. All right, guys, let's do this. Oh, and guess what? The camera's reversed. All right. So lithium, we're going to talk about lithium because I think there is a big opportunity in this metal. It depends on how you want to play it. Do you want to buy stocks? Do you want to play the futures market, the options market, all that stuff? There's so many different ways to play this. Or do you just want to learn about lithium? I mean, you know. So, okay, here we go. So first off, a point that I want to make that I wrote down, the market for electric vehicles, as it's taking off, global demand for lithium, primary metal that's used, material that's used in these batteries, exceeded supply for the first time ever in history in 2021, okay? So last year, first time ever that the usage, the amount of annual usage exceeded the amount of material coming out of the ground, okay? So that means they're gonna start ramping up production or the price is gonna have to go up, all right? So it says, this was according to S&P Global, the deficit is projected to widen, obviously, into the future until mining operations start ramping up or new deposits are found. And as a result of that, the price of lithium rose by about 437%. Okay, so this is data that was brought, I got this data from Trading Economics, and it brought it, the 430% rise, brought it to nearly $43,000 per ton, okay? So now in a time where inflation's rising and you know, we're buying certain things like cryptocurrencies and we're buying, you know, gold and silver. Some of us are invested in real estate still. How many of those investments went up 437%? It's not because of the inflation story. It's because of the demand story, the supply demand, okay? All these car companies are ramping up, so they're buying up this lithium, all right? The facts are there are more, you know, when Tesla built its Gigafactory, it was big news. It was huge because it was like the first of its kind. And then they said, okay, now we're gonna build another one. But GM and all these other massive car companies in America, including overseas companies, have started building, I believe now it's 12 essentially gigafactories, just like the size of Tesla, all over the country, okay? So the demand for the battery material is immense. All right, so that's, I think, really cool. All right, so now according to the USGS, United States Geological Survey, the global consumption of lithium itself in 2021 was around 93,000 tons, and that was a 33% increase from 70,000 tons in 2020. There was around 93,000 tons that was actually the consumption. That's how much companies needed lithium. 93,000 tons of lithium, which was a 33% increase from 2020, okay? That was around 70,000 tons needed, okay? So that is going up. And it's projected that by, what is it, 2040, 2030, I think I've got a graphic I'll put up. That's going to increase even more, okay? Because every day, like I said, there's a new chainsaw company that's going to come out and say, we'll do a battery version. Or a hydraulic company is coming out and saying, hey, we'll do a battery version. All right, so another couple things that I wrote down. As long as electric car production grows, right, so will lithium. But like I said, it's not just electric cars. A lot of people are focused on cars, and they're not figuring almost anything today that's run on gas and on like a hydraulic system can be transferred into electricity, electric generator, right? So now, first off, let's talk about California. Everybody knows California is nuts, but California straight up said, hey, we have a mandate. It's going to be like all electric cars as of a certain date. I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but they're going to go through with it, right? Also, the EU, the European Union, set a goal of reducing gas emissions by 55% by 2030. We all know what 2030 means, guys. And the truth is, are they going to succeed? I believe they're going to, because they're going to force it down people's throats, all right? So there's certain things you can't do anything about. So why not invest that direction, right? Then take the money from it and become freer, because you can take profits and buy real estate cash, your vehicles cash, all that stuff, and get out of debt, okay? So you know I'm really big on that. All right, so now I want to bring you to the sponsor. This video is being sponsored, and it's by a lithium exploration company. And so I thank you for that, because of sponsors and because of, of referral links. I'm so grateful for that, because it allows me to be able to do these videos rather than going and doing another side job or running a business. And it's been such a great blessing. So I want to thank the company that. So first off, the company is Lithium Chile, and the ticker is LTMCF. Now, before I go on, I do not own this company personally, and this is not a recommendation to buy or sell this stock or any stocks. You guys know that I'm not a financial advisor, financial professional. You do know that I invest in stocks, I invest in cryptocurrencies, precious metals, all kinds of different things, real estate, oil, all that kind of stuff. And yes, I do own stocks right now. So, but I am primarily invested in resource stocks. I want to be a part of this resource bull run, this commodity bull run, and lithium's a commodity, okay? So I have been looking at lithium stocks myself. I don't currently own this one, but I want to get into some things I do like about this company. And the first thing, biggest deal, is its insider ownership is at 43%. Okay, I love companies where the board of directors, the C-level executives, they have money in the business. They have skin in the game, okay? So 43%, that's a great number. That's something that I really like. Another thing is that there's analysts that have talked about this region of the world, and they call it, some of these analysts are calling it the world's highest grade lithium district, okay? Now, we've seen stories recently about California and near, I'm completely blanking on the lake, Salton Sea, where there's a lithium find, right? But they've got to go through all of these obvious hurdles to be able to get in there. There's some people looking at it. There's not really a lot of drilling going on, but they're looking at it and they're identifying like, oh, there's lithium here, right? It's a big deal. It's been in the news like crazy, but there's yet to be anything going on right there. And they're going to have to go through all kinds of hurdles in California, whereas other countries don't have as many environmental loopholes, governmental, or not loopholes, but red tape to cut through, okay? So Chile has less red tape than you would find in California. This company has a market cap of around $100 million, so this is not a small company by any stretch of the imagination, and they just completed a round of financing, because especially with exploration companies, they have to have money to go out and fund drilling projects. And this company itself has a lot of projects. They actually have currently 13 projects, and they also own 5 properties themselves. Okay, so the 13 projects is a diversification tool that a lot of exploration companies will use as they're doing these drilling projects, because let's say one of the projects doesn't end up being what they hoped it would be, they have other projects to fall back on. So you have a diversification. If there's some companies out there that you're investing in, just so you know, and I've been guilty of this myself, where they have only one project, right? And they talk about that project and it's awesome, and all of a sudden it doesn't end up producing what they expected it to produce through the drilling results, and which means they don't have a viable property to be able to market to a junior miner or a large mining company or turn it into a mine themselves. It could completely wipe out shareholder value. So I think that's very important to note, okay? So this company has 13 projects and it has 5 properties that it owns. So it just finished that round of funding, and that was at around 70 cents per share. Now, if you look at the share price, I don't know what today's price is, but when I checked, it was around 83 cents. But it's definitely above where the round of financing went, and that happened in January, I believe. And so that's important too, because you want to know that they've got cash on the books, which means they have X amount of months or years to be able to complete their drilling projects and be able to market that those properties, those projects, to larger companies or start mining themselves. Okay, so that's very important to understand. So they already did that, so that's great. They also started talking about when they did that round of funding, they said they were raising somewhere around, I want to say $7 million off the top of my head. They said an Asian investor was anticipated to come in with approximately 40% of that money in just one fell swoop. So they've completely closed out that funding. It's completed and done. So that's great. They have money to keep doing their ongoing projects. So I'm going to put a link to the company's, I'm going to put the ticker in the description below and to the company's website if you guys want to take a look at it. I want to thank them for sponsoring this video. But again, coming back to the entire, the lithium story, I think it is very, very important, because the facts are, because we're using we need more lithium today than we needed last year or the year before. And you guys know there's no denying that this resource is going to be more and more valuable, right? And it takes so long for a mining operation or even an exploration company to go out, identify a property, drill the property, do multiple drilling results so that they can get the map of where the material that they're looking for is, right? Map it out, find its different depths, its purity levels, and all of that. Then market it to a company, get the company on site, start mining it, and then getting it to the actual people that need it. It takes so long. The facts are, I would not be surprised if in 2023 we find out that 2022 had even more of a demand increase than what we saw from 2020 to 2021. All right, so I think this is a great sector to be involved in. We're seeing, obviously, 437% price rise is huge. And I think that there's even more money to be made in this sector, especially as we start seeing we're going from inflation to, in some cases, transitory hyperinflation. And we've already seen that in lumber. We've seen it in steel. And technically, we have now seen it in lithium as of last year. So I want to bring you guys that story. I think it's a big deal. I just get your creative juices flowing, the investor caps on, and start thinking of different resources around the world that are going to start to increase way more than your dollar is decreasing in value. All right, guys, with that being said, I thank you so much for watching. The Economic Ninja is out.